Hello, everyone. Happy December. Hope your Thanksgiving holiday went well and you're getting excited for the next round of holidays we have upcoming. Quick new recap this week. I just want to talk about a few different things that we've mentioned before, as we get into this holidays and kind of turn around into the new year, just some best practices. If you haven't done some of these technology items in a while, I'm going to encourage you to do so. So let's just dive right into a couple of the recap things that I wanted to talk about. The first one is kind of a big deal. We talked about it last month in our newsletter. Probably introduced a new acronym for you potentially if you hadn't heard it before, but it's the idea of FERPA and data privacy. I'd encourage you to go to our knowledge base and watch this video for a full explanation. But the short idea is that we are required by law, federal law, to protect our students' privacy online. And because we use so many online tools and internet resources, we have to enter data privacy agreements with every vendor that we provide student information to. And we have a comprehensive list of the status of the different online tools that we use. That's linked off of our district website and also in this article here. So if you haven't already thought about the different tools you used, gone into this tool and typed in what you currently use and see if it's approved or not, please encourage you to do so. If you do not find yourself in this list in terms of a tool that you are working with, please submit a support ticket so we can begin the process of getting that data privacy signed, hopefully. And then we will go from there. Okay. So that was part number one of a reminder. Part number two of a reminder is we use a tool that I think a lot of us are familiar with at this point, where it's called Little Sis, where it takes our classrooms that are in SchoolBrains and automatically syncs them to Google Classrooms. It auto updates as schedules happen and everything. But what you might have realized is that this tool keeps emailing you if you haven't taken action. And so one of those actions at the beginning of the year, a lot of you went in and you accepted those suggestions and those links. But if you have some classes that you did not want, they'll keep emailing you unless you decline them. So if you keep getting an email from Little Sis every day, I would encourage you to just take that extra step. Just click on it once. You'll get in there to this scheduled action screen and you can decline those suggestions. And then that tool will stop bugging you. So just a little tip to clean up your inbox a little bit. The last reminder that I have, and then we'll get into some tips and tricks for this season, is that we are in the cycle in our department of making sure we have all of our devices in the appropriate places, and especially as we think about refresh cycles and recycling and all the other things that we do in our world this time of year. So as such, I just want to put out there that if you have any unused technology equipment in your classroom or in your area, please submit a support ticket to us so that we can come and collect that and properly either restore it so we can distribute it to other people or potentially recycle it if it's end of life. And so you can just come to our ticket system. If you go to the other requests category here, there is a hardware and equipment setup category, and you can just say move, remove equipment. It'll grab your building automatically. You pick your room number, just tell us what it is, and we'll send somebody by to collect that from you. Okay, so enough about the reminders. I want to dive into some productivity things that some of us might be in the habit of doing every week, a couple times a month or something. But I would like to just bring those up to the forefront. And if you haven't done these things in a little while, I'd encourage you to keep an eye on it and check it out. First thing is we use Chrome for so many things, right? We're browsing the internet, we're in and out, we're going through tabs, we're doing a ton of stuff. And our browsers keep temporary files, the cookies and the cache and the history. It keeps this stuff piled up over time. And sometimes it's convenient, but a lot of times it actually can pile up too much to the point that your websites might not load as efficiently and your browser experience might not be as great as possible. So if you haven't done it in a while, I would encourage you to go to the triple dots up in the corner of Chrome, go to your settings, and on the left-hand side of settings, you have privacy and security. And in here, you have the option to clear your browsing data. And there is a time range option here. We usually recommend to go all time with this, and there are checkboxes for what exactly are you clearing. Just note it doesn't clear passwords that are saved or stored, and so you don't have to worry about those going away. It just simply gets rid of that extra junk, so to speak, that can pile up over time, and that'll give you a little bit smoother experience there. Next little bit of homework that I'd encourage you to think about that piles up over time are our downloads folder and the desktop files that we may have. So if you're on a Mac, you're going to go into your Finder. If you're on a Windows computer, you would go into the File Explorer icon. Look at that downloads folder, look at your desktop, make sure anything important there is stored on your Google Drive. As we've talked about at length in many years from now, Google Drive is your best place to store and access all of your files. If they're saved on your desktop or downloads, they might not be in Google. So please take the time to make sure that the important stuff is in your Google Drive so you can access it super easy. And then just delete the stuff that you don't need anymore. Clear out that downloads list, empty that recycle bin, empty the trash, clean up your desktop area, give some mental clarity for things so you're not looking at too much for sure. But just from on the technology level, it's good to clear up that stuff as well. I want to talk briefly about bookmark management as the next item. Over time, we can have bookmarks that kind of pile up either over the past what we can see, or we just need to clean them up a little bit. And so don't forget that we have an option under our bookmarks menu to go to the bookmark manager. If you don't see it at the top here, you can access it over from our triple dots to bookmarks and bookmark manager. And what this is, it's a file management system for all your bookmarks. So you can have folders, you can have subfolders, you can rename things, you can drag and drop things, you can remove things. It's a great place to store your websites for later use, but again, it's a list that can pile up over time. And so it might be a good idea to take a minute and just go through the things that you might not need anymore, or reorganize things as you see fit. Couple other quick Chrome tricks that are less about a cleanup, but some productivity things that we've talked about before that might be crucial as we go through the variety of things that we're working on. I know I've worked with a lot of folks that have what seems like an infinite number of tabs open over the course of working in a day, and we can be very busy people on the internet these days, right? So a couple things that to be aware of if you're not already. One is we have the ability to pin a tab. I know nobody out there has ever accidentally closed a tab that you're working on. And maybe that's just me, but something that can happen as we're working on many things is we accidentally hit the X button and it just closes out what we were working on. Right? If we don't want that to happen, you can right click on a tab and you have the option to pin it. And if you do that, what it does is it shrinks it really tiny and it gets rid of the X button. So you actually cannot close it without doing the extra effort of exiting the entire application. And so you can go to all the other things that you have open and then revisit that pinned tab at any time and it won't go away for you. So for those crucial things that you always want open and you don't want to accidentally close, just do that right click and pin or unpin when you're ready to move on from it. The other trick with tabs that, again, we might have a ton that are open. Over on the right-hand side of Chrome, there's this little down triangle that you might not have noticed unless you've been looking for it in the past. But what this is a search tab feature. So rather than digging into each individual thing, hovering overing it, and let's see, oh, is that the one or is that the one? You can come right over in here and just type in the name of one of the tabs you have open, and it'll jump right to it for you. So you don't have to remember which one it is. You can just simply type it in and it'll take you right to that spot and you don't have to worry about it from there. Great little feature. If you're not already using it, definitely take advantage of that. The other quick productivity trick that I'd have for you from a tab management standpoint, if you have a lot of things going on, a lot of times when you have a lot of things going on, they're related to each other. And one of the tricks that you have here is you have the ability to group tabs together. This is, again, from a right click or a two-finger click if you're on a Mac, where you can do that right click option and you can add a tab to a group. And so, for example, maybe this one are, in my case, maybe it's tickets. So I can label that, I can give it a color, And you can see visually right up at the top here, it gives me this visibility. And so I can bring other things into that group by dragging. I can do it from that right click and put that in there as well. And what I have the ability to do now is I can hide all those grouped tabs just by clicking on it. I can move them around if I need to kind of reorganize my space. And it almost makes like a website to-do list where I can make multiple tab groups and have like working items, to-do items, essential things, however it makes sense for your flow. You can group those tabs together, hide them on a single click, expand them when you need to, and then naturally you can close the group and remove them, ungroup them, do whatever else you need to do from there. All right, last bit of productivity that I want to talk about today is just a tip and trick in Drive that you might not be familiar with if you haven't played around with it yet. We're familiar with My Drive being the place where we store all of our things. They're kind of our control, where we make our folders and make our files, and they're already there. We're familiar with shared drives being a collaborative environment that we can work with a group of people in a greater sense there. Priority is a way to pull in files from multiple areas and have them in one space, almost like a to-do list or a project management area. They suggest some things that you might want to have in here just based on things you've opened recently, things you're working on. But you can also create your own workspaces, as they call them here. And basically, it's a folder that you can label. And then it's an empty workspace in here where basically all you end up doing is you hit add files and you go through your drive, whether it's recent documents in your drive or in shared drives, and you're just pulling things into this space. It doesn't have to be a in any specific location. They're just simply some things that are available right here for you. And so I just select the file, I add it in here, doesn't matter what folder it's in, I can just bring it into this workspace. And what happens with that is that I can just visit my priority area, and then I have this quick list of all these different files that I'm working on, again, no matter where they followed. So for me, I manage a handful of Google sites. It made sense to, hey, any of my websites I'm going to throw in here and put them in there. We had a project a while ago about distributing Chromebooks for schools. I put them all in one space to make it easy. Documentation review is a task that I work on. I have files related to that, so I can just visit this, get to it right away. One way to think about it is it's a more involved or perhaps purposeful version of starred, where yes, I can star things, but they're just kind of in a list. Whereas priority is I can create a space for these different things that I'm working on and have them all available right there. All right, so I hope this was helpful this week. Thanks for bearing with me as I reviewed a couple of those essential things. Hopefully those tips and tricks are useful as well. Continue to stay safe and healthy as we work through these, and just hit us up on the ticket system or book a training appointment if you need additional help, and we'll be sure to hang out with you from there. All right, take care and go Bills.